Welcome to my weekly Meltdown's coverage of the Homecoming Real World New Orleans episode 5. I'm sorry. I just yell sneezed and something came out of my nose. I don't know what it looks like an alien. Thank you guys so much for joining us this evening. With me as always is Tyler and Andrew and Miss Jackie B. How's everyone doing this evening?
I didn't just have an alien come out of my nose, so I'm doing better than you are.
Thank you.
Indeed. Same. I will say, like, aliens are definitely like in my front of my mind lately because I have while moving and packing and stuff, I binged all 3 seasons of Stranger Things in preparation for this new season to come out. So, Allison, I hope there's not a Demogorgon up your nose. Is all I have to say.
Whatever it is, I've named it Tyler Jr.
Yeah. Understandable. Also, it feels like it's been forever since I've been here with you guys, even though it's only been a week. But I missed you guys, and I missed talking to you guys. So I can't wait to talk about Julie talking about masturbation.
I did not miss you.
And so much more.
Did I?
Yeah, I was just thinking about how long it's been.
You were gone?
4 of us have been together.
I know, right? Yeah. Jackie, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm excited to talk about what was exposed on national television as well. And all of the awkward faces from poor Jamie. I think that was the pinnacle of my episode. That and Matt and all his nice, no offense, I hope this isn't offensive, but I call it toxic religion. He bless his heart. That's where we're at.
Yeah, and it looks like it's only going to get worse next week, but I can't wait to talk about all of that stuff. But first, we started the episode with like a little Y2K celebration.
You mean YKS?
YKS, yes. But I thought that was a cute little thing to kind of add in there. But I really don't remember Y2K or.
You were born in
91.
Okay,
so.
Great.
I just wasn't old enough to be aware of the whole phenomenon behind it or what it was about or anything. So
I
would like some more context.
Not old enough.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just address the elephant in the room. I was old enough. We all know I was 23 in 2000. Okay. Every time I feel so freaking ancient around these people. Listen, here's the thing. I didn't worry about it too much because my father worked in the banking industry. He's a computer programmer and he did a lot of stuff. And he said, Allison, nothing is going to happen. Don't worry about it. We've been working. They actually started working on fixing this years and years and years ahead of time. It's not like they were just sitting there in September of 99 and went, oh, we got to fix this problem. No, it was fine. So I didn't panic too much, but
so they all thought that computers were just going to turn on.
You weren't going to get money, you weren't going to have access to money in the bank. You weren't going to be able to get there was an outbreak of ATM withdrawals, like the max that you could get out and stuff like that. There were people doing that a lot, going to the bank, taking care of that stuff. In 2000, I don't know how one would go about saving stuff on your computer. Back then, you didn't have the iPods and whatnot. You were just still ripping stuff off Napster. You had CDs.
Putting it on.
Do any of you know what? Anyway.
It's floppy disks.
Yeah.
I was in junior high. I think I was going into junior high when this Y2K phenomenon
Why
happened.
do I keep coming back to this show? I'll never understand.
I remember the party, and I remember the hoarding. People buying gallons and gallons of water,
toilet paper.
Because you wouldn't be able to buy anything because everyone is, it was drilled in their brain that you wouldn't be able to get anything, have access to anything. We did have a little emergency bag. My dad, we all put, because I was living with my parents at the time with my son, we did put an emergency bag together with non-perishable items and stuff just in case, because, the panic enough would throw people into hysteria where they would close things down so you couldn't get stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
All
Oh,
I
that makes
remember is my mom was hosting a huge party. There were probably 30, 40 people there, New Year's Eve, blah, blah, blah. And my stepbrother, being the jerk he did, flip the breaker at midnight.
Nah.
And so everybody thought something actually was like happening. And
Yeah.
I love that. I actually just saw a TikTok like maybe last night, so I know TikTok is listening because they must have heard like them talking about Y2K on the show. So my phone like picked it up or whatever. But somebody found like a hidden room that was like sealed off in their new house that they like broke into, and it was just like a huge like just like a sealed off panic room from Y2K of like just bins of like water, toiletry, like ramen, like
Wow.
non-perishable like cans of food. It was probably like bigger than my apartment, to be honest. Like that's how like expansive it was. And but so yeah, like I guess it was like such a thing, and it's cool that they kind of like threw us back into that. And I don't know, just kind of like it was definitely a sign of the time before like technology really got like super accessible, or the
I'll
internet
never
was like
I'll
really.
never forget my son was 4 years old and we all ran outside at midnight and he was in his little Batman pajamas with the little cape on it, and his little rain boots, because it
Aw.
had been raining a little bit that day. And of course, in the South, you know, it wasn't really that cold. Like we had like a little Indian summer that popped up. It was really weird. Like it got hot. Anyway, it was staying outside at midnight, and it was so cool because everyone was outside, and it was just like this really cool thing. Like I'd never experienced anything like this before. And down the street from us is one of the biggest churches in Memphis. It's called Bellevue Baptist Church. And you can see off the interstate right by our house, they had spent this entire year constructing the 3 big crosses. You had the huge one in the middle, and then the 2 on the, you know, the one on each side. And they were white and they were beautiful, and you could just see them. And when that clock hit midnight on January 1st, 2000, the crosses lit up, and they have been lit ever since. And you can see them. It's like a thing now here in Memphis. You got to see the Bellevue Baptist Church crosses. It's really beautiful. I've actually taken many pictures of sunsets and rainbows and all kinds of stuff around these things. But we were all out there and we watched them light up the sky, and it was just a real special moment. Everybody's worried about this or that, and I have this moment with my son and my parents, you know, because I was really single with my parents, but it was fun. We had a good time. Okay, anyway, that's probably as positive as this episode's gonna get.
Yes. I did want to mark that like Melissa brought out her wig again for the occasion, which I thought was really cute.
With her little cowlick thing, little bang. That was
I love
so
it.
adorable. I'm
I
like,
love
where
that
did you
haircut.
find this wig? And it was perfect.
Do you think it was the original wig, or do you think it was just like a replica? Like
It's a
one of the
replica
stuff?
because she
Okay.
lopped
That's
her
her
real
real
hair
hair.
off. Yeah, she cut her real hair off on
Yeah,
that
she cut her
show.
real hair off, Tyler. What are you talking about? The original wig.
Well,
That
I don't know
Oh,
how
God.
these
They
things
probably
work.
they found some little cheap little shake and go Party USA wig for her to just throw on for this episode. But when she cut
Okay,
her
I see.
hair, that was real cut. I don't know what
Oh,
happened.
okay.
Yeah.
Wait, so like her hair in the original Real World, that was her actual hair, right?
Yeah, she had like my length hair,
Mhm.
and it was
Yeah,
curly, and
okay.
it was real cute.
Okay,
And then
okay.
she got the pixie. Look, everybody was getting that freaking haircut.
Yes,
If
it
you
was.
could pull it off back then,
Mhm.
and she nailed the Gwen Stefani eyebrows. I mean
Mhm.
the 20s pencil thin eyebrows. If
Yes.
you could pull that haircut off more, I would give anything to have a pixie haircut. I would look like a little boy
Mhm.
if I try to get a haircut. I'd look ridiculous.
I'd look like
I
a
also-
big boy. I get you.
It'd be like I'm like this little 4'11" part, you know. And whenever I get a bob cut, my husband always says I look like Dark Helmet or a walking little penis from behind.
Allison, you look beautiful with short hair. You look beautiful no matter what hair you have.
You are kissing it and keep
And don't
on.
forget, depending on the length of the hair, you can charge more on Cameo.
That is true. Use Christy as a great role model.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
So
Allison's
the
like,
penis
man, I'm in
hair
the wrong
works
career.
on. Just saying.
Where are we go? What? I
Allison's
don't know
so
what's
lost.
happening. What are we talking about?
Christy's cameo because she's bald.
You said penis hair.
Because you were just talking about your hair looked like a penis when it was a bob.
Some
The
people
shorter the
might be
hair, the
into
more you
that.
can charge on cameo.
Yeah.
But I liked also how like Melissa, she was like, I didn't really care about like politics going on. What I really cared about at the time was that song "Back That Ass Up," and we got a nice little montage for that musical masterpiece. And
Tyler, you work a million weddings. You know that.
I was just about to say, Jackie, like I hear that at every wedding, and I'm telling you, it gets like everybody turned up. Like
every religion, every ethnicity, every creed, every age. Back that thing up is the new "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough." Is
yes.
What about Mambo number 5?
I do really like Mambo number 5.
There was a lot of Mambo number 5, I remember, right before 2K.
I love it.
And I was pissed because you couldn't fit an Allison in there. You couldn't fit an Allison in there. Nobody cares about these other Monicas and shit.
I was doing the Macarena.
But don't you have a whole song from the Beatles though? Is that no? That's not.
It's Elvis Costello.
Elvis Costello. That's a whole
And it
song.
only has one L, but that's okay. I'll let it go. Still my theme song. And the Pixies have an Allison song, and the Gin Blossoms have Allison Road with 2 L's.
Well,
So I have entire
I always
songs.
like to make the joke. I'm that straight up white boy. I can't dance. I have no rhythm, and the only songs that I can dance to are the ones that tell me what to do, like Cha Cha Slide, like one step to the left,
Cha-cha slide.
one step to the right. Like if you tell me what to do, I can kind of do it. I can't guarantee it's to the beat, but I can do what he's saying. I can follow directions.
Well, back that thing up is telling you to back that.
Is it back that thing up, or is it back that ass up?
Back that thing
like,
up is
which
peaking.
thing?
Back that ass is the real version.
Oh, because I'm like, I've never heard back that thing up. I've heard back that ass up.
We're trying to keep it appropriate, Allison. I mean,
Really?
come on,
You said
I would
penis
melt
hair.
down.
Okay, so after the Y2K of it all, which was really cute, I really enjoyed that segment. And it's a nice little, just a palate cleanser before we get into the real meat and potatoes of this episode, which is Julie and Jamie's
The Frankenbeans
chemistry. And it's weird because we get this whole like everyone admiring Jamie montage. Like I feel like we get like all 3 girls being like, Jamie's the cutest. I can't wait to meet him years from now, and we're gonna make sweet love to each other. And like showing Kelly getting jealous that like it didn't really work out with him and her when like he had eyes for like Julie more. I have to say, guys, like I don't really get the hype with like I just don't really find Jamie that attractive at all. Like past Jamie and like present Jamie. Now like he seems like a nice guy. Like I would get a beer with him, but like do I look at him that way like these girls do? No, not at all.
You gotta put yourself in that time. It's like looking at pictures of your dad and being like, what? But if you were in that time, he was a looker. Like
that's true.
He had the parted down the middle butt cut that all the white boys say they all did.
He's no
and
Eric
they had
from
the
New York.
bead neck, the choker bead with the t-shirt and the flannel. I'm good. I'm not quite Seattle, but I'm gonna try to be because I'm really a frat boy. But I don't want people to know. It's just a lot. There's a lot going on there.
Well, I have a little faith in humanity now because I mean, if Jamie's still being called attractive, he's got a dad bod going on, and I mean, I have a pretty good dad bod going on here. So I mean, the dad bod's in, guys. I mean, that's the thing to realize.
Hey,
dad bod's in.
There's nothing wrong with the dad bod.
It exists. It's live. From the chest to the stomach, I've got it, and Jamie kind of has it too. And so I was the first one to watch this week's episode, and in the chat I was just trying not to reveal anything while trying not to throw up, while trying not to cringe at the exact same time from this whole scenario and situation. I think I drew the line when Julie talked about masturbation. Was where
you drew the line?
Where I was kind of like
there's so go ahead, Jackie.
No, go ahead, Alice.
There's so many things going on here.
There's so many.
There's a lot. Like we all know they kissed, and whatever back in the day. And there, we got the little, well, he's the first guy I did more than kiss with. Okay, that could be like I think we covered last week. That could be anything for a Mormon girl, rubbing the leg, anything. But apparently we weren't just rubbing the leg. This all came out like, first, you can't forget they're outside working. There's a couple of things. You got to rewind a couple weeks. She wanted to share a room with Jamie, and Jamie was like, no, there's so many factors as to why, and this isn't
that
gonna
adds
work
a lot
out.
more context because like I thought he was just like avoiding her because like
No,
Julie.
no. Yeah, that, and this is the second time they've showed them working out. The first time they're talking about downward dog and doing all this crazy shit, and now we're just jump roping here outside, and Julie's just like, out of nowhere and left field, I'm just gonna bring up, people should be able to have sex with no feelings and stuff. And Jamie just like almost dies, and
he stopped mid jump.
Yeah,
I think her exact phrase was like, "Why is it so impossible for a man and a woman to have a sexual chemistry, but like still be able to maintain friends or something like that?" Right? Is what she said. Which so here's the thing. I think this was Julie's best episode in terms of like how she looked. Like, did she cross the line with like talking about like, you gave me my first orgasm and I started masturbating because of you? Like that, like I agreed with Kelly when she said like, like there, like you can talk about it, like you can talk about your past experiences, but there's a certain line that you shouldn't cross unless like it's like approved, because she's right. Like Jamie has like, he's married, he has kids.
That's
like,
the first thing I thought.
Yeah. However, So like, however though, like I kind of agree with Danny when Danny is saying like, listen, like I know that like the church really like suppressed your sexuality and made it feel like a shameful thing. And I'm glad that Julie had that positive experience with Jamie. I'm glad that kind of gave her a lot of confidence, and also like she was able to like explore herself and her body for the first time ever. And I like that she is like open about her sexuality and her sex drive. Like I think that it's like,
I support it
no,
too.
but really though, like I think it's a good thing.
That was
just
awesome
as long as you
in the
don't.
summer of 2000. That was great.
But not now.
Not when everybody is married over 40 with kids that are going to watch this as well.
Yeah, it doesn't need to come up. Like it really doesn't need to come up. Like I get it. I agree with everything you said, Tyler, but the look of sheer terror on Jamie's face when she brings up they basically hooked up and were fuck buddies or whatever. It was that look of, we've all had that one person that we've hooked up with, and we've never verbally said it out loud. We don't want to talk about it. I don't ever want to reveal. It was a mistake. Why? I don't know. And here she is. And if you're thinking to yourself, well, I've never had that, you're the person that you're that person they don't want to talk about. But anyway, he just came like this deer caught in the head, like she just keeps
digging deeper and deeper and
deeper.
We masturbated. You gave me my first orgasm. I actually like, whoa.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do get Jamie in confessional saying I probably wouldn't do anything differently. So like take that for what it is. Like I don't think that Jamie is like as uncomfortable as like say Kelly is about like this being talked about so openly. Kelly, I'm really not a fan of on this. I feel like she's just like a big like stick in the mud, and she's not really contributing anything. I feel like somebody like Kelly would never get cast on reality TV today, and I don't think that we're missing anything by people like Kelly not being cast on reality TV. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So a couple things to add to all of that. Yes, I agree, and I had to write a couple things down. I agree, Kelly she's boring, but I think it's coming, and I hope it's coming. First off, when you're talking about the one person that you regret,
you're not talking about Julie,
but you don't admit it, Allison. That's my wife every morning. So that's the one thing I wanted to
relate
add
to her.
I also thought we learned a lot about how good Jamie is in the bed, because if him and Julie do this and then she starts learning about masturbation and starts doing masturbation, he obviously wasn't that good for that to continue. So that was my second point on that. And my final point, my favorite point, which I don't think we've really touched on yet, is when they look at Jamie and said, "So did you ever have feelings for Julie?" And he's
No.
like, "No." And
No.
to your point, Tyler, about what you were just saying about Jamie and saying he would do this all over again, and yet he doesn't have feelings. To me, that looks really bad on Jamie, right? Like he obviously got this person kind of hooked and kind of into his spell. He had no feelings for it, and he'd do it all over again. So I felt a little different about him in this situation.
I feel like
him.
Go ahead, Tyler. Sorry.
No, you go.
I feel like I have a totally different perspective on this than the three of you, which is totally fine. But I didn't see Jamie like coming out of that like looking like an a-hole at all. You know, like different experiences mean different things to different people. Like Jamie like was just hooking up with somebody who was pretty close to him as like a friend. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, especially when they're both like single at the time. And Julie really got a lot of self-confidence out of it. And it would be totally different if Julie was coming here saying, Jamie was terrible in bed. He treated me so bad. Like he led me on, he ghosted me, but she gave him nothing but compliments. Like, and I you know, good job for getting the job done, Jamie, I guess. But like, I don't like, I the only thing that's wrong, in my opinion, is her saying stuff like, I started masturbating because of you. You gave me my first orgasm. That's like the only thing.
That's way too much. That was the line. Gave me my first orgasm. That's what did it for me. But I also think that Jamie's kind of one of those like sweet, shy, or at least back in the day, he was one of those sweet, shy, really handsome guys that doesn't really know how fine he is. I dated a guy like that once many, many years ago. And his slogan was, you can't help who likes you. And even that sounds kind of bad, but but he was one of those like sweet guys. It's like, I don't know that you like me. I didn't even realize that you like me. Oh, okay, well then sure, let's go. It's almost like he's just like, yeah, I like you kind of, but not really. Do I? Jamie was like, I don't remember any hookups on any challenges. Like, what do you mean? This
and he could have like just like genuinely not remembered that because like
it's called a mental block. I just said 6 minutes ago, we all have that one person. And I mean, we got to dig deep and block some of these people.
Oh my God.
Like I might need to be hypnotized for some incidences.
I don't know. I just like, as somebody who like grew up in church as well, like my entire childhood, teenagehood, whatever, and somebody who was made to feel oppressed about my sexuality. I was kind of late to the game, like getting like experience with people like in my mid to late 20s. Allison, you know, I went through that crazy party phase back in like 2018. But like, I'm so grateful for that time because I feel like I've really discovered myself and like who I am. And so I totally get what Jamie's saying. And I'm glad that Danny kind of came to bat for her in that moment and really applauded her and kind of discouraged her from calling it something like a fuck buddy and referring it more as like, you know, discovering who you are, especially when like the church has just like suppressed that part of her life for so long. So I get it. And I'm glad that she's talking about this because I feel like, especially for a woman, there is a big stigma to be talking so openly about sexuality. I think it's all great, but I understand the cringe of it all for you guys and anybody else. But
there's just a line that gets crossed with kind of, look, I'm happy she's, you know, whatever, but it's just, if I'm on a show and my husband doesn't know that I have slept with Andrew, not that we've done anything because we've never met in person, but that doesn't really mean anything. But still,
you gave me my first orgasm.
If like, and my husband's watching this and he's like, how come you didn't tell me that? I mean, even if it did happen before, there is this you're keeping it. I don't know. It causes issues. And I'll be honest with you. I feel like Julie is trying to cause issues,
Every episode. Oh yeah.
bringing it up because
Oh,
she
yeah.
For
wants
sure.
Jamie. She
For
wants
sure.
Jamie. And plus, this once again shows the immaturity in her still catching up by
Mhm.
doing something like this. Poor Jamie.
Do we think
Oh, Lord.
one-sided? Do we think that Jamie wasn't showing any kind of, I might want to possibly go down this road a little bit again? Like, I feel like the lead-in was there. The tease was there. We're giving Julie all the bad, but I think Jamie's to blame some.
And this
Thank
is
you.
where I go and be his advocate a little bit, because maybe he's just aloof. He's like, I didn't know I was this fine. I didn't know that my dad bod was still this hot. I mean, I'm cute. I was cute. I'm still cute. And maybe he's thinking that it's just being friendly, but he doesn't understand maybe the subtext, like the underlying of what Julie is really saying. Oh, you don't need to. You look really good, and he's not thinking that she's flirting. He's just thinking, oh well, she said that I look good.
Yeah, I could buy that, but I've had like I have in the past and now I gotta have more male friends than I do female friends. And when you buddy around, like I could be like have a buddy friendship with Jamie and not ever want to sleep with him or anything and joke around. And those are kind of, to me, the best kind of friendships with the opposite sex, because you can be inappropriate and say the craziest shit and they don't judge you, but they do give you advice. Like, I probably, this is why that guy is not talking to you, or a woman can kind of do the same thing. But I have paid compliments to some of my male friends and they're like, well, yeah, you think I look nice, but the girl that I really like isn't telling me that, and I'm like, well, I'm not, I'm just telling you as a friend. There's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with them, kind of thing.
I think that Jamie is coming from that like innocent friendship perspective, as where Julie is definitely, we already heard her say it on the second episode or third episode on her phone when she was talking to somebody. Well, I would be flirting with someone, but I just want to retch or gag or whatever the term was she used when she was talking to her husband on that dark phone. She was already when she already said that she was interested in trying to flirt with someone, but it made her sick to think about it. So Jamie that's her first victim or her only victim that's going to happen on this show. But Jamie is like, this is my friend from 20 years ago. She's married with kids. I'm married with kids. We're just bros hanging out. Julie's like, take my panties.
Yeah, so for real, take the panties. Take them, snatch them panties. She is doing downward dog in his face.
Exactly, with her crop tops, with her little abs out.
She's naked. She's hopping naked. And look, if a man wants to get a Speedo, you don't see Jamie in a Speedo doing the downward dog or any other of that yoga stuff. Come on now. He's fully clothed when he's working out. He's in a fucking polo shirt on the street working out. That's how much he doesn't want to be naked.
Exactly.
In front of Julie. I'm sorry.
I really judge people who work out in jeans. I will never understand it. I think it's the fucking weirdest thing. If you work out in jeans, you need to see like professional help. Like I really don't get it.
I see that all the time.
But so like I my only concern with like where this is going, and I feel like this is gonna be in the back of my head for like literally whatever Julie does for the rest of the season, is she hamming this up for television? Because like of that phone call in the hot tub where she's like, I'm the only one making good TV, like everybody's like sleeping and eating all day. So like I'm always going to question her intentions of like where she's like trying to get this headed. And it looks like from the trailer for the next episode, she's like calling her husband being like, nothing happened, nothing ever will happen. And then he like shows up and I'm like, first of all, this is not like a Tammy situation. Like I am not going to be intimidated by Julie's husband coming.
Spence.
You know what I mean?
Oh, Spence is here.
What's he gonna do?
What's he gonna do? He's gonna hit us with some glasses or something, because he sells glasses. Oh shit.
Oh God. Yeah. So like that's the only thing. I'm like, Julie, I just want you to be authentic. And like her like talking about her sexuality felt authentic to me. I just don't want it to like turn into like this whole big mess that it looks like it's going to turn into.
It is. She already gave us some of her Julie tears in the
Mhm.
episode when they were doing their couch talk about it. She was already giving us a little whimper and tears. So yeah, it is. It's gonna get
On the
worse
couch every week, though. Am I
every
right?
week.
And
Every
I did
week.
like that, like she was like mentioning that like all this happened while they were on the challenge, like, you know, bonding over situations with like adrenaline being high. Like one of the strongest things that can like bring two people together romantically is shared trauma. And the challenge is a form of trauma in like the situations that you're putting yourself in, especially with like how loosey goosey production and rules were back then. I mean, Veronica or Julie like literally almost unclipped Veronica when she was like hanging midair. You know what I mean? Like that shit is traumatic to you. So I understand like how like those chemicals in your brain can like start thinking like, okay, like maybe Jamie and I do have like some special bond in common.
No,
where,
you
like,
don't. No, Andrew, do you have any thoughts?
Me and Tyler are going to agree to disagree here.
Yeah,
and that's fine. I feel that Jamie is just as to blame, and I almost go back to, you know, you're right. Yes, she got to explore this, but I think Jamie took advantage of that, and I'll leave that there. I feel like, you know, I mean, it's like the senior at a high school going for the freshman, right? They'll go for anything that they can because they know that they're novice and they know that they're craving that and they know that they're wanting that. And I think that Julie was in a little bit of a vulnerable situation in that. And I think Jamie went into it for him, knowing that there would be no emotion involved, but knowing that there would be a lot of emotion involved for her. And we'll just agree to disagree and leave it there.
No, but I agree with that, Andrew. And it's almost like the boy who cried wolf situation, because like nobody's gonna believe Julie and everybody's gonna believe Jamie no matter what like narrative Jamie's gonna spin about this. Like I agree that he's not like as innocent as he's making himself out to be in this situation. And I also feel like the other cast members are really just like allowing him to like paint this like different picture that he had nothing to do with these feelings that came up.
I also, let me piggyback on this real quick. I also think that, you know, in a world where right now when these things happen, it's the man's fault, right? I think this says a lot about the perception of Julie. And I feel that if we don't get a lot of this other stuff of Julie and this bad we've seen so far, and like the Tokyo accusations, if we don't get that, we're probably siding with Julie a little more. Right?
Yes.
But because of where we are, Jackie B's like, no.
She's throwing the panties.
Right now, I feel like it's a little bit more on Jamie's fault.
Yep.
I just feel like, to me, it is not uncommon because the guys I've been around is guys are not the one, just from my life experience, they're not as emotionally invested in sex as women are. Jackie, can you back me up on this a little bit?
Exactly.
We as women, you know, I just feel like I have to feel a connection, and I do really desire this person and I want to be with them, right? And I have that connection with them. And after I did sleep, I would feel some kind of emotion no matter what. But that's just me and all that. But guys just seem to, they can do it and cut it off and be done. And maybe to him, it was like, yeah, popped her cherry and gave her an orgasm, but shit, it was not my first rodeo.
Right.
You know, it was Julie from the real world that it happened to. So for him to go, no, I wasn't in love with her. And it was just saying, dude, I totally forgot you're like my fifth virgin that year. I don't think, you know, it doesn't really strike me as really anything.
Right. One of the fear stories I was taught at my toxic religious experience when I was a teenager and adolescent, I was taught that a guy will always trade the word love for sex, and then a woman will always trade her love or her sex so that she can be loved in exchange.
Right.
And that's why I think that Jamie is just one of I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that he's just one of those guys that didn't know how hot he was. He's like, I can't help that she liked me. Like Allison just said, she was like the third girl this year that I took her whole virginity, like the bottom and top and back. Like I think that he's
360.
360 virginity. I think he's just like aloofly like, yeah, I mean, I just do this because I do it. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
But so speaking of toxic religious upbringing, Jackie, that's a good segue into
It's the
the
virginity
like I feel like
360.
we're starting no, not that part. We're like Matt refusing to partake in the tarot card experience.
That's because
And
he has the lucky numbers already. He has the lucky numbers 13, 11, 7, 9, 5, and 18. That's why he didn't want to do the tarot cards. He got the lucky
what
numbers.
is that?
Those
His
are the ages
children.
of his kids.
Oh.
The ages of his kids.
And the lottery number that I'm going to play this week.
Wait, question. I before we start talking about Matt's like religious stuff, like how do we feel about Matt having 6 kids? Like, do you guys feel that that's like too many kids, or like?
For me, I stopped at 1, but for someone like Matt who looks to be a happy father, who enjoys fatherhood, who looks to be an active father and is very present in his children's lives with his wife, I see 0 issues having 6 kids. He seems like a wonderful father and it seems like a great family. So it doesn't bother me, but that's just my opinion.
Come on now, the Bible says, "Be fruitful,
Be fruitful and
and
multiply."
multiply." And
Yeah,
my
they
man
also
is
say that in
walking in
Handmaid's Tale. Okay.
They do. My man is walking in his purpose right now.
That's right.
So
Yep.
I'm with Melissa. I just want to see the refrigerator. I want to see
Right.
the laundry room,
see
and
the
that's
How many
house.
eggs they have? Yep.
how many eggs, how many Capri Suns they keep.
Right.
But yeah, so like Melissa gets the tarot card reader, which I thought was a really cool thing to bring back and stuff like that. I love that the card reader said that Melissa should get into politics, because I feel like she would make an excellent like politician on like a local level. Like I feel like she has all the right like ideologies in life, and
Can you see her as like a Pelosi position, sitting
No,
behind the president? Getting up like that. I ain't
she
getting
would
up
be
for
a
that. I'm not
politician
getting up
for
for
the
that.
people, and like that's what we need in politics. Is people that are there for the people. But I just thought that was an interesting like observation from the tarot card readers. But what do you guys think about Matt kind of wanting to not partake in that?
I have no problem with it, right? Like, I don't think he did it in a disrespectful way. I think he was very just, hey, this isn't me. And I don't have any problems with that. I mean, it's the same, and I guess it's not the same, but it's the same as like someone bringing alcohol or drugs or something you don't want out to a party that you don't agree with, and just being like, hey, he didn't really condone it at that moment on them. He just said,
not for me.
But
so I think
couldn't
he
he
handled it
have
the right way.
still not necessarily participated, but couldn't he have still gotten some camera time, like sat on the couch behind them and just listened to what the fortune teller was saying? I mean, I don't disagree with what he did. I think he was very classy and said, this isn't really for me. And then he explained why. But I'm just like, I'm wondering, like, could he just have maybe just kept a watchful ear and still got some airtime?
Yeah, and they like straight up asked him like, "Will you like sit with us and just like stay with us?" And he wanted like nothing to do with it, because like even being in the room is like letting temptation in, I guess.
It's still okay. I'm just going to tell you from the Southern perspective of, being in the Bible Belt down here. It's not uncommon for all that. You can't find tarot card or that kind of stuff. I wouldn't even know where to go or who to call to do something like that down here. It is very taboo. A lot of people don't do it. And if you do it, even if you are sitting in the room, you're participating. If you're watching, you're participating. You are in the presence of the cards, you're participating. And if you don't agree with something and you don't believe in it, you are to completely 100% remove yourself from the situation. That's just from my experience with people down here. I am a Christian, but girl, I will have my palm read, my butt read. I don't care what I have to get read to tell me what I want to hear. I did the 1-800 psychic number when I was 18 years. Yeah, I think it might have been Miss Cloud. I don't know who it was.
Call you now for your free reading.
I ran up a $92 phone added to the bill. I got so much trouble. I was 18. I was out of school. I was bored. It was like, whatever. Everyone's just in the middle of the week. You know, I ain't got anything going on. I called him. This woman told me that I had not met the love of my life yet, and that when I do meet the love of my life, his name will begin with a J. And I was like, well, do you know when I'm going to meet him? They said, no, but that's what his name will begin with. And I had been dating a guy named Joey. So I guess, obviously it wasn't him. I mean, we weren't together at the time, but the love of your life can mean many things. It can mean your soulmate. It can mean your child. It can mean many things. That was in October of 95. I had my son a year later in October 96, and I named him Jacob, and it began with a J. And I always kind of took that as that's because he is the love of mine. He's my son. And she told me I was about to go on a long journey. Well, I just gotten back from my brother's wedding in South Dakota. Allison, why was your ass in South Dakota? I'm gonna tell you why. Because my brother was in the Air Force and I had to go to Sioux Falls, South Dakota to watch him get married. And I got sicker than I am now because of the weather. It's just a bastard up there. But anyway, so it's kind of reversed. So you never know. I don't know. It could be a religious thing. I don't think that you're not being true to your religion if you do it. You live once, try it out. You're not going to get up to the pearlies and God go, you know what? I was going to let you in, but that one time that that screwed it up for you. I'm sorry. I got the elevator waiting and you're going downtown, buddy.
That day you danced to back that thing up and you watched a palm reading. No.
I mean, what is the difference between not getting your palms read and dancing to back that thing up? I'm sure that's something that you don't hear at a church party.
Yeah. And I appreciate that Melissa took him aside and talked to him and said that she respects his convictions. Like, of course, I respect his commitment to it. However, I just can't understand. I can't put my mind in that mindset of not being able to separate that it's just a fun experience. Exactly what Julie said. She's as the other religious person, she said I feel like I'm always on the field and he's always on the bench. And I don't understand that. To me, if I don't want to be an asshole, but I just I can't understand how your mind can't be strong enough to be able to separate that and not even face quote unquote temptation, even as just some form of entertainment. I watch plenty of things that I don't agree with. I consume so many news sources that tell me stuff that I don't personally agree with. But does that change my conviction at all on anything that I feel about those things? No. But do I feel like I'm a better person for kind of expanding my worldview? Yes. And that's where I just kind of am like a big thumbs down about people that just shut themselves out from the world. Not even just religion, but people that just stick to the little bubble that they know of life. And it goes against what the real world is about, in my opinion.
Right. It's to me, I kind of feel like it's a dedication thing. He's very dedicated to his Lord and Savior, and he has walked this life and built this life, and he's also an example. Because people from where he's from are going to be watching this, and this church, the Catholic Church is watching, and I also believe that. I'm not Catholic, but I do believe they might be a little bit stricter on certain things. Maybe, that might be, but some people just are so dedicated to certain things that they have to stay in that mindset. I'm very dedicated to my sobriety. If we're in a situation where everyone is drinking alcohol and I'm I respect you guys and you can do this, I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to journal. And if somebody were to come up and talk to me about it, that's fine. But I kind of look at it that way. He is so dedicated to his religion and what he is doing that he's removing himself from
Mhm.
it. So even if I'm watching people drink and do things, I'm not saying it doesn't bother me. There's a reflection that takes place that goes, man, why can't I just take a couple of sips like everyone else and just do this like everyone else? Because you can't, Allison. You have a problem. And his mindset is, why can't I just sit back and watch them read tarot cards? Because you can't, Matthew. You are dedicated to God and you're walking this life and you practice what you preach and you are an example for your children and everyone else around you. Get your butt upstairs. So that's kind of and I don't know if that makes it any easier for you to understand. But some people are just they're really dedicated, and his is religion.
Andrew, what do you think?
Why didn't anyone play any little soft music while I was going on a rant? I'm sorry, go ahead. Right.
My granddad was a Baptist preacher for 62 years, right? I have done work in the church. I am a strong believer in Christianity, and I am a strong believer that it is my job as a Christian to put that message out there. But I also think that there's a way to do that. And being overly pushy and overly standoffish sometimes gives the wrong opinion of that. It tries to separate you in a better than thou class, and according to Christianity, that's not the truth, right? Like there's one that was better than thou, and that is it. So I feel like he's got the right intentions, but I think that he goes about it the wrong way at times. And I think the DR clip we keep seeing, there's nothing else we need to say about that, right? Like it's almost like he's casting a judgment immediately without trying to bring resolution or understanding or anything like that. I mean, I believe what I believe, but I'm opening to listening to you in the hopes that you'll also listen to me. And I feel like with him, it's a very my way or highway kind of mentality. And I feel like and I'm not even gonna say this with Christianity. I'm gonna say this with everything. I feel that sometimes pushes you away even more, whether you're talking about race, gender, anything. When you just close yourself off to one mindset and refuse to open up and carry that conversation, it does more harm than good. And I feel like the best thing about anything like this, whether it be sexual orientation, race, or religion, is, and we've talked about this before, Jackie B, is education, right? It's learning about those things. And so to be closed off with it is that. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I would kind of agree. Yes, I agree with what he did with the tarot cards, but to at least be involved, then maybe later he could have that conversation of, see how this happened here. This is why I don't agree with it, instead of just completely closing off the conversation.
Yeah, because like, what if his kids like come and like ask him about tarot cards? You know, he doesn't even have any educational context to even explain what it is. It's just like dark, evil, like oogie boogie. You know what I mean? And that's where it stops.
It's what?
For like the boogeyman, you know, like, but that's like, as silly as that is, like that's what it is for him, you know? And so I'm glad that Danny held him accountable. Like, speaking of Andrew, like what you were saying about how he like is like peddling around this like omission of, yes, I'm still a homophobe for religious sake. I'm glad Danny holds him accountable and says, like, because he used the excuse of, I'm still learning. Like that was like his big thing that he said back on his time 22 years ago. And production straight up asked him, like, 22 years later, do you have a different perspective? And that's where he like shuts down the conversation. Like, he just, like, I hate these like religious like politician answers of like, I'm not a judge, we should all love each other, love the sinner, hate the sin. Like, that is all bullshit, because how is somebody like Danny like able to like sorry, I just like lost my train of thought. How is Danny able to like still have a friendship with him when there's like limitations and like the amount of judgment that comes with that? When they were playing that Who Said What game, there were so many like very judgmental things that Matt said.
Yes, very about eyebrows.
I wonder if Matt did not. I wonder if Matt was like, okay, I know this is for a book, but no one's gonna read the book. Like, I wonder if that's what Matt's process was when he was just spewing out all of these hurtful things that he was saying.
Well, it's supposed to be anonymous. I mean, when they did the book 20 years ago, 3 years ago, it was anonymous. And now you're having to own up to it. That's the problem. This whole show is a bunch of people in this season that never thought they would be held accountable or ever have to answer for anything they did on the real world. And they're not wrong, because up until now, they never had to. They stopped doing reunions years ago, decades ago, and they're not even bringing any of these people on any other shows. So they've never had to answer to these questions. And the homecoming is still so new. You don't really know what is going to be completely asked. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they saw, well, I'm sure that's bullshit. I'm sure they saw the last 2 seasons of Homecoming. They know what's going to be brought up, but you know, at least you have a heads up of what to say, and you can kind of, you know, shape your answer and really think about it, as where New York and LA didn't have that opportunity. So yeah, you're changing, Matt. Matt in 2000 was changing. Matt in 2022, to me, has not changed. He is the same, literally has been frozen in carbonite, hanging on Jabba the Hutt's wall up until 6 months ago, and they defrosted his ass and put him on the show because damn. But anyway, it's just, he is the same person. I mean, what is he going to do? You've got 6 kids.
Well, that's why he did the show, because of the check, because he got 6 kids.
Yeah, you got 6 kids. What are the odds of one of these children being gay? Are you going to shun them? Are you going to not talk to them about it? Are you not going to communicate? Are you going to shut it down? You have to be open to having these conversations, because whether you like it or not, you are leading by example at all times when you put yourself on television, whether we like it or not.
And not only that, but even a step further, like there needs to be consequences for things that you say that are hateful, and like just because you use like religion as an excuse for that, like that's why Danny said it's fucked up, is because it's under like this blanket of religion, people are able to like justify that away in their mind, that like it's not a big deal, that's just how he feels, you know, like in any other context, if people were talking about like discrimination on like race or like a different religion or anything like that, like it, and religion is different because it's a choice, like that's more like active instead of like who you are. I'm just glad that Danny is like not letting him get away with like just because it's like under like this religious veil, that doesn't mean it's not like hate towards somebody for who they are. And like I just cannot wait for them to like get into it next week about it, because I want to see that conversation between these two like mature adults all these years later, and see what kind of discourse, healthy discourse, hopefully comes out of it.
You mean one mature adult, and then Matt, who was cryogenically frozen for 22 years.
Right.
Listen, I'm trying to like,
yes.
Like Matt is still, I'm sure he's still a wonderful, great guy. Like I'm not trying to paint him as a demon.
Oh, of course, nobody's saying
but
that.
there are just like fundamental flaws in people that just like are like crazy into religion. Like there has to be like a healthy balance of like, I'm sorry if that's controversial to say, but I have a lot of feelings on this, because like I just like grew up in a church that really didn't serve who I was at all. And I know how much that hurts people. Like Allison, you bring up a really great point that like, what if one of his kids turns out to be gay, and they go back and watch, they go back and watch this shit on Paramount Plus because they want to see like his dad on television, you know, like how hurtful would that be?
Yeah,
They would
agree
have
with
to
you.
give up their tithe that week to be able to afford Paramount Plus. So I think
Yes.
that's an
That's
issue.
They
true.
could just use Allison's login.
Listen, I support Paramount. I don't know if you know this, Jackie, but I've single-handedly funded Paramount Plus way back when it was CBS All Access. I pay the full price to not have commercials, yet I'm still watching commercials. Even I've logged in online. I've done everything I can to stop the commercials, and I'm still watching them. Sometimes the commercials freeze, and I have to start all over again because
Oh,
it won't let me rewind right back to where I was before. It goes all the way back to the beginning.
oh my
And
God.
it's so much fun. It's like, what kind of mood am I in right now? Do I really can I
Do I
handle
feel like dealing with this?
Yes, I don't know if I can deal with this because it always happens when I'm really pissed off. I mean,
I just want to say real quick, like Andrew, I know you're like more of a religious person than I am, so like I hope anything that I said wasn't like offensive or anything that you like highly disagree with or anything like that.
Tyler, I
I'm just
highly
sharing
disagree with
my
most of the things you say, but this
Yeah.
wasn't offensive in any specific scenario.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm being like still respectful to anybody that is religious.
Tyler, he's not pulling a Matt. He's practicing what he preaches. He flat out said he listens and he takes it
Yeah.
in. And that is what, he's not leaving the conversation. He's not dipping out because he does, he's open to anything. And plus,
Sure.
Andrew has that selective hearing. Like right now, I know he's not really listening.
Andrew
I've
has
been
that
editing this
selective
whole
hearing. Like right now, I know he's not really listening.
Okay, see,
Listen, I've been editing this whole time.
look, we're all doing other things. I'm trying not to die over here and sneeze in the microphone. So there you
True.
go.
Jackie's just holding down the fort for all of
I
us.
got
Yeah.
you. Me and my ADHD, we are locked in right now.
Yes,
Jackie's like,
perfect.
you have to pay attention when I come on here. No.
Some of the voices quieted so that way we can pay attention.
And I just want to say to our one viewer, Julia Hernandez, welcome.
We have one viewer like here on YouTube, but I will say the numbers for us on the podcast for the real world coverage have really great. So thank you for that. I know like there's not really a lot of coverage for these homecomings, which is weird to me because it's just something really interesting to chew on a little bit.
Nobody wants to talk about Kelly and Matt. Nobody.
Well, Kelly is so fucking boring. Like,
Well,
and I'm
she's
telling
gonna
you,
have
like this
her
little
fake
preview.
anxiety attack for attention, so
right,
we'll
but like
remember.
not even that is
right?
fun. Like
I'm
that
not
feels
wrong.
like it feels like a fun suck. Like it feels like there's like a Kelly-sized rain cloud
Karen.
over
She's a
over
Karen.
this season. Yes, and it's boring. And even her freaking out about being uncomfortable is boring.
Like nobody, I could have I have anxiety attacks every day.
Every
Kelly,
day.
Karen, Kelly,
She
Karen,
should have
Kelly.
just been like a guest that came in for one episode.
Yeah,
Like,
we
this,
don't need
this
you.
season would have been exactly the same
Mhm.
Yeah,
if that were the case. Sorry, not sorry, Kelly. You're boring.
Kelly, Karen.
I'm sure you're a wonderful person in real life, but give us what we want. Good TV.
What's the name of the book she's working on? Can anyone?
Right. I think this is a memoir. I hope it's a memoir because I'll go get it on Kindle.
I'll need something to put my
Audible.
grandson to sleep with, because he's teething and he's having a hard time. I'll just whip it out, start reading it.
Can you imagine
Yeah.
how boring the audiobook for that would be?
I might go to
Yes.
sleep.
I want to hear Matt read her audiobook on Audible.
I want to hear Julie read her audiobook.
I want Melissa and
Yeah.
Julie to take turns and then bring Tokyo in.
Yes.
To sing in between chapters. He has to
He
do a
needs to
song
be
interlude.
singing.
Gangsta noodles.
Gangsta noodle. You just come up with harmonies for each chapter. I'm so there for it.
I love how we like said that this is going to be a short show, but we're like an hour into
It never
this already.
happens. It never
Tyler,
happens.
here's something I want to add, and Allison brought this to my attention earlier this week, and so I just do want to do a quick shout out. We didn't talk about this, Allison. I hope it's okay. But some people that we have learned from back in our sequester days over at Unfiltered Feeds, they did lose one of theirs this week, a podcasting host. And my heart goes out to Rachel Westmoreland, the co-host of that show.
Absolutely.
And us at My Weekly Meltdown send all the love to that specific podcast.
Yes, it's very, very hard, very sad situation over there, and our hearts and thoughts go out to them and their families. Yes, Sad.
So sorry to end on a downer, but I feel like as a fellow
Well,
reality TV podcast, we should
expect nothing less, Andrew.
Should we talk real quick about these rumors about like a Sari and Stephanie LaGrossa return in some way, shape, or form? Maybe question mark.
Well, Tyler, what you missed? I don't know. I'll let Jackie B talk about it.
Oh, okay. So I actually was trying to be on the show. And I got the phone. It was 2 emails that I got like a week before I would have gotten on the plane. And they were like, we're going to go in a different direction. So I'm like, well, if it's because Sari is on there, I will gladly take a step back. That sounds like a W to me. I'm good. But yes, I went through the entire audition process for the Traitors, and it got right to the last part, right when they were about to book my plane ticket. And it sounds like because they went this route of having celebrities, so I might not have been the top 10 choice. I was probably number 11, but good Sari. I would love to watch her play. I couldn't have played with her. What are you talking about?
And like, of course, I'm like yes, queen, legend about Sari. Like, she is like amazing, but Stephanie LaGrossa is like such a good get. Like, we haven't seen her since Heroes versus Villains. That pizza shop of hers like failed like very shortly after that Heroes versus Villains reunion where she did that shout out where she got blacklisted from Jeff for seemingly forever after that. But I'm just like, she has such like grit about her that I just like really admire. Like, she's just like a really tough like G.I. Jane, and I'm excited to see her back. I can't wait to.
And you know, looking at the whole cast list, I know you're not a Cody Calafiore fan, but at least it's not Polly. But Rachel Riley is an exciting get right there. I'm a huge Below Deck fan, so to get Kate Chastain is really, really cool for me. And you know, we've seen all of these, let's get celebrities or reality TVs and their B-listers, and I feel like this is love them or hate them, and this is some A-list reality TV stars here. So I'm very impressed with that, and I can't wait to see what comes from this. We're probably, I would say, fall at least, if not winter of next year away, but I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, cannot wait. And we got and who?
Ryan Lochte.
Who is that? That sounds very familiar.
Yeah,
Ryan Lochte.
Right.
He was on Celebrity BB2.
Wasn't he the one that requested the lap pool be installed in the backyard?
He's the Olympic swimmer. Yeah,
Allison, you're muted.
BB2, and then he was also. It's funny though, like looking at this cast list here, they have Ryan Lochte, and they don't have Celebrity Big Brother. They have Dancing with the Stars. So I guess
that is so sad that Dancing with the Stars it takes president over Celebrity Big Brother. That's hilarious.
Marketing ploy is to like, let's pull some Dancing with the Stars fans because we've already got Big Brother with Rachel Riley here. So I'm sure that was maybe a marketing ploy.
Definitely. So I'm excited. More excited for that than the Challenge 38, which the cast has been spoiled. And spoiler alert, it's just the same boring ass people.
It's the same damn people. And so is the All-Stars cast. It's starting to be the same people. Which here's another segue.
I don't need to see Nani's teeth again for
I don't.
the 20th season.
You want to see your teeth? What's wrong with you? They're perfect.
Exactly.
We're gonna
Bless her heart. I'm sure she's a nice person, but whatever.
You're terrible. See, look at you judging people, Matt.
Yep.
You're being a Matt. Listen,
but at least I can own it.
She can. We're gonna do a mid-season full judgmental on the geriatric All-Star, and we're bringing the heat. We're not pulling any punches. We're good. Here you go. Right here. 100% judging brought to you by my grandson. Right there.
Can't wait.
Kid has a face that you'll catch him looking at you like, ooh, you're 6 months old. You can't judge me yet.
Melinda did post some tea on Instagram today that like her like exit episode was really edited in a wonky way. Like a lot of these scenes were filmed like very out of order to make it seem like something it wasn't. So if you want some like production insider stuff, go check out her Instagram.
Oh, we have a nice comment. We have someone else. We have 2 people in the chat. Where is it? And okay, Alexander Harless says, "Hey y'all, I was in the shower listening. I appreciate how do you tell My husband doesn't even listen to me in the shower. I appreciate how you approach the subject with Matt and respectful and front type of way much. I can't read these anymore. Tyler, could you read that, please?
Hey, y'all. I was in the shower listening. I appreciate how you approach the subject with Matt in a respectful and multi-front type of way. Much love.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you, Alexander.
Hello, Heather, in the chat as well. Yes, thank you.
That's the beauty of the real world is like being able to have these tough conversations, like not in the context of like who's winning $1 million. Like it really is just different people with different experiences coming together, and there's so much more season left to be had. So can't wait to get into.
However, we will be 100% judging when we do the mid-season review of the Geriatric All-Stars.
Yeah, because there's no religion, no politics, no race, no nothing up in there. It's just old knees and gird.
No Julie and Jamie.
No Julie and Jamie.
No excuses.
But there is some John A and MJ.
You mean the GOATs, the greatest of all times? Yes.
No, like how like they're kind of like dancing around that they like had an affair on the last season. Like both of them were married, and now they're like together. But
and one was married at the time as well. Just
y'all got tea that I didn't have. Hold on.
Controversy.
Well, that's just a little teaser for the mid-season review. That's the shit I will bring to the table is the gossip and the tea of these guys.
And we do love when you bring the shit. Oh, are we reading it again? Who did that? Hello? Of course.
Well, hey, thank you for joining us this week as we're doing comments.
Yes. Yep. So yeah, we will be back on Thursday. Sorry, I'm so used to saying Wednesday for Survivor. We will be back on Thursday because we're too geriatric to be staying up that late.
Isn't that the truth?
Yep, that is so true. But so we'll be back to talk about Marianne's win on Thursday. Can't wait to say I was right and then show that tweet from the first episode that I made. Yeah, and then next Monday we'll be back to talk about episode 6 of The Real World, Homecoming, New Orleans.
Maybe are we maybe changing that?
Or is it?
It's Memorial. We're still trying to decide what we're gonna do. We're gonna change things up because we know how much you people love that. We can't stick.
There's no consistency on this show.
But if you follow us at My Weekly Meltdown on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, you'll get all the updates as to when we're gonna go live.
Yes, click the little ring, like the little bell thing, so you get notified when we go live and stuff like that. And give us a thumbs up, smash that like button, subscribe, all that millennial vlogger stuff. Yeah.
Are you
Allison's
done?
like so.
Are you done? I'm dying over here.
Okay. All right. Goodbye, guys. Have a good evening. We'll see you next week. Peace. Or Thursday, whatever. Bye.
And